There will be a lot of moving around next year. We've established that as we've talked a lot of silly season. No less than 8 drivers that were in the race at Richmond yesterday will be in different places next year, either retired, maybe out of work, or with a new organization. Those drivers include Martin Truex Jr., he's retiring, Corey LaJoie, Josh Berry, Noah Gragson, Ryan Preece, Michael McDowell, Justin Haley, Harrison Burton, and maybe a couple of players to be named later, Alexis. Of all of those names that we just rattled off, who do you think improved their position the best for next year?
Well, as I sit right now, my gut tells me to say the 19. Of Chase Briscoe is going to be in the best position. He's going from Stewart-Haas Racing, who has, obviously been well documented in their shutting down and just in their competition. Obviously, the competition at Stewart-Haas has improved this year, but in, a trend of not doing well, he, I think, is going to improve the most by going to Joe Gibbs Racing. Now, with that said, the 19 team, they've had a decent year, but they haven't gotten to victory lane. There are some things I think that need to be worked out there, but that's the biggest improvement in my opinion. The second would probably be, and some people might think I'm crazy on this one, I think it would be Josh Berry going to the Wood Brothers. And the reason why is because that's a Penske car. Everything that happens with that 21 car happens out of the Penske Racing shop. And when you're talking about the two biggest teams in that list of names that we just talked about, it's Joe Gibbs Racing and it's Team Penske.
Brad Gillie, let me twist the question here a little bit for you. Corey LaJoie, Ryan Preece, Harrison Burton. Do any or all 3 of those drivers wind up in Cup cars next year?
I'm going to have to say at this point, yes, one of them. And I think it would be Ryan Preece.
Okay.
I was going to say no, because I think that's a real possibility. But I could see some situations where maybe Ryan Preece is able to get in someone's car. I don't know if it's going to be as competitive as a car as even what he has right now, but I could see that being a possibility. I don't know that I see that being the possibility for LaJoie right now, and I don't think I see that being a possibility for Harrison Burton either.
I don't know, and I'm trying to be nice here, but you just got to be honest. I don't know that LaJoie or Harrison Burton or Ryan Preece, with what they've done in Cup, and they've all been given ample opportunities, have a resume that they can walk into another Cup shop and say, hire me, I'll do you well.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. And certainly they're in a precarious situation because there aren't many seats available to even be able to go in with a resume and say, hey, look at me, put me in your ride. So that makes things even more difficult for them because not only do they not have the resume, but there just aren't that many seats available out there. Perhaps we'll see them, find their way back into a race car in a lower level series, but that's TBD too.
Brad, what are you thinking happens with the Corey LaJoie exit from Spire in the 7? For a while there, it was automatically assumed that was going to be Kyle Busch. That seems to have died down. What's going to go on there? Do you know?
I don't. I mean, right now, the winds are sort of blowing toward Justin Haley potentially getting a nod, and Haley technically did get a win at Spire, and I think people have looked a lot at what he's done at Rick Ware Racing this year and said that is a much improved team. But that's the one thing, like I understand Corey LaJoie being exited from that race car, but the other question is, okay, who are you going to put in there right now? And unless you're going to move someone up, and I don't know that Spire is in a place for that right now, based on what they might need for a whole of a team, maybe Justin Haley is that guy. I don't know.
Alexis, do you think you're better off taking a retread or taking a flyer on somebody relatively unknown and giving them a shot?
Oh, I think, there's so many variables in the sport that go with that, Doug, because you're talking about, not only are you talking about performance on the racetrack, but you're talking about who could potentially bring dollars to your race team, right? So a lot of times when you see these drivers that have been in rides over and over again, and yet they haven't shown the results, it's because they bring with them money that can then, infuse capital into that race team and potentially make it, be better and to go faster. But in my opinion, a lot of times it doesn't work out the way that you want it to in that situation. So I would probably go with somebody who's maybe a little untested and see if there's potential to have some talent that is undiscovered at that point.
Brad, out of those three drivers we just talked about, and Harrison Burton, Corey LaJoie, and Ryan Preece, I think I already know your answer. Who has the best opportunity to be a player down the road?
I think, honestly, Harrison Burton right now. Both Harrison Burton, among those three, Harrison Burton and Ryan Preece have won races in NASCAR. That's something Corey LaJoie has not been able to do at this point. Harrison Burton had a 4-win season in the Xfinity Series. And remember, when he got into that Wood Brothers ride, I think a lot of us said, well, there really are not any other options for him. So this is a great ride for him to take, but it might be too soon. Harrison Burton could be one of those drivers that could truly benefit from going back to a competitive Xfinity Series ride, kind of like what Cole Custer has done, and then maybe show his worth, raise his stock in the sport, and when he is more prepared to be a Cup Series driver, get into a ride where potentially he could showcase talent.
I have a question for both of you. Do you both think that if circumstances were different, that Cole Custer would be given the opportunity to race in the Cup Series in 2025 if, say, the family team was not available? Because of what he's done. I mean, obviously, he's done fantastic going back to the Xfinity Series, winning races, winning championships. But would he be able to come back to the Cup Series if it weren't for the fact that basically the Haas factory team is a family operation?
Brad, you go first.
Here's what I think. Yes, I think he would have been offered a Cup ride or Cup rides. Would it be the same caliber? And I know people look at it and go, wait a second, Haas factory teams is going to be a 1-car team from a 4-car team. They have a direct alliance with RFK, and I think that says a lot. I think he's getting into a good ride. I'm not saying a great ride. I think he's getting into a good ride. Do I think his phone would have rang? Absolutely. Would it be the same availability as what he's getting into? I don't think so.
I agree with Brad 100%. He'd be back. Not going to be as good. I think that ride is going to be pretty good. I think this Haas factory team is going to give him a decent ride. He's going to win next year? Don't know, but I think it's better than a lot of the other things available out there.
Yeah, the only reason why I asked that question is because we use him a lot as an example for, hey, you can go back to a lower level series, do well, and find your way back. But I don't know if that would work the same way for a driver that doesn't have those connections. So, just curious your thoughts on that.
It's good to be king.